It's your favorite YouTube dealer. I appreciate you guys for stopping in. We've checked out quite a bit of Pete and Boz, and I absolutely love these guys. Like, they're extremely good at rapping, and I've realized that I've never checked out anything from them that's live. So I looked something up, and I came across this, where it's plugged in with Fumez the Engineer Freestyle live at the XOYO London. This was in 2021. So I wanted to just see how they interact on a stage, how they do in front of the crowd and stuff like that, because we've seen them in music videos and they body it. I also decided to load up the very first release that they put out called Shut Your Mouth. So that will probably drop at some point either before this or a little bit after this. And I'm very interested in seeing their very first drop, but it sounds like they started to rap and start to put it together in like 2017. And I think it said after Pete had realized that he was into rap from listening to like his granddaughter's music or his grandson or something like that. And so it just kind of formed and came together. I didn't look more into it than that, but I thought that that was pretty cool. And I wanted to check out the first thing that they released as well. So for now, let's dive into this live show that they did and let's see what it's all about. My guys, let's fucking go. It's interesting to see they know every single word. Like, that's when you know these dudes are doing it on a very large scale. They do a show and people know every word and they just rap it along with them. I think that that's kind of dope. I'm assuming that they don't have their vocals in the background playing and it's just them actually rapping it. I can't tell though, because it's not like an official recording. It's somebody just recording it from the crowd, but it's still interesting to see because I was curious like how good their breath control was going to be. I mean, obviously they're older guys. So it's like the breath control you feel like is gonna suffer a little bit as you get older. At least I would assume so, but I could be wrong, right? I mean, they're quite a bit older, but then you got people like Eminem who still bodies it, and he's like what in his 50s at this point, and it doesn't really stop him from actually rapping more rapidly and faster than he ever did in his prime. You know what I'm saying? Or I guess what you'd say is his prime. And prime is subjective when it comes to music because it's not like combat sports where you're good between a certain age and then you start to get a little bit too old for it. Whereas rapping, you could pretty much do any time. But it's I don't know, if that was something that I was curious about, was to see how their breath control is. And obviously they can only do so much, right? Because when you're older, you're not going to be like completely bouncing around crazy all over the stage and stuff like that. And I don't feel like their rap style really calls for it anyway. But it's just, again, one thing I was just curious to see. Okay, so it does sound like they have the track actually playing in the background with the vocals, like the entire song, no different than if we checked out the official video, and they're kind of rapping to it, which is not the biggest deal in the world. I mean, especially given, again, that they're much older and stuff like that. But growing up, I was always like told like you can't do that. Like, I mean, you can do it, and I think a lot of artists actually do nowadays that are coming up, which is very interesting to me. But there was an era, which some of you guys may know, especially if you've rapped and you've been around for quite a while, where like you were told that you weren't allowed to do that, or people just were like, "Yo, we ain't gonna invite you to the show. We ain't gonna invite you to the open mic. We're not gonna if you're gonna just rap over your actual song. Like the beat will play. If you have no hype man or anything like that, we can play with like cuts of like you saying the ends of some of your bars, so you have a moment to breathe really quick." And then you got to just be rapping it completely yourself. And that was how I grew up. Like I had to do that. There was no option of anything else. Now, I know it's a crowd recording, but it's interesting to me that they're not like, I feel like their mics need to be turned up so they project more, right? Like I feel like they should be heard more clearly throughout the crowd. Like at a show, you don't want to like have it be completely off, but I feel like the vocals being a bit louder than the beat, more so than it would be on an actual track, is normal because that's what people are there for, to see the actual performer. I like that bar. Still knock a man down with a kung fu kick. All right, so yeah, it was interesting because I feel like Boz looked like he was struggling a little bit more in the beginning, and Pete was kind of on point with it. At least that's the way that it felt. And then towards the end, you could see that Pete maybe didn't remember all of the lyrics, or maybe was having some issues with breath control, because like his part would come in and you'd hear the song playing with him rapping a little bit, and then you could tell he jumped in because you could hear him kind of layering over it a little bit. Whereas Boz, towards the end, started to actually jump in on point with every single one of his. So I don't know, it was an interesting dynamic. I'm not like watching this to try to tear them down or say anything bad, because I love these guys and I want to continue to do reactions. But as someone who's done shows and you know, failed horribly at them before, like I remember one time I forgot my lyrics, and so you just hear the beat playing. There's nothing there to save me. Like it's just like, oh shit. And then my friend actually jumped in and just started to rap and freestyle to try to save it. And like, that's possible because you don't have the track there. It is easier to remember your lyrics when you hear the track, which is it's an interesting dynamic, right? Like when you don't have it and you just hear the beat, remembering your lyrics is one thing, but when you're hearing yourself rap it, it's easier for you to remember it and it comes out of your, mouth easier. Like you could just follow along easier. So it would make things easier, but it's just not the way that I was raised up. So I can't help but talk about that when I see other people do performances and stuff like that. But either way, I still rock with them. I'm not saying this to try to be negative or anything like that. I'm looking forward to any new music videos or stuff that they do. I'm realizing lately I talk a lot with my hands. I feel like I always have, but lately they just be moving. They be moving a lot. Anyways, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about this. I wish that it was a little bit better quality. I didn't know what it was going to be diving into it. I thought that it would have more of like the sound plugged in, so to speak, or like just be more projection going on so we could hear it a little bit cleaner. But regardless, once I started, I figured like, you know what, we're here to check it out. Let's just check it out. So appreciate you guys. Take it easy. Stay safe. I'll catch you in the next one, homies.